Okay, so as soon as you walk in the door, there is a nice little wardrobe cabinet here. There is a Camp Queen bed, an awesome little shelf up above. This is your dinette area. Cabinets above. There's a nice jackknife sofa, and again, more cabinets above. Then as we walk to the back, you have just an absolutely humongous refrigerator. It's probably the largest refrigerator I've ever seen in a camper, at least one that I've owned. And it's really not much smaller than my refrigerator in the house. Over here we have a pantry, double door pantry. Now it is kind of a little bit of a teaser because you have your top door, which has 2 full shelves in it. And then you have your bottom door, which kind of messes with your mind because it only has 1 shelf in it because the bottom is blocked off for, I think, some electrical and plumbing stuff is what's under there. So you have, still a ton of room because they go back a really pretty good distance. And then, of course, here's the winning feature of this camper. This is our rear kitchen. And, I mean, first of all, I love the window because in the morning when I'm over here making coffee, I can look out the back, see what's going on in the campground. Plus it adds a lot of light. And I mean, look at that counter space. Come on. This is absolutely crazy. I mean, you can actually put a coffee pot there. An old camper, which is a little bit bigger than this. It was a constant moving of materials. You get a coffee pot out, you make coffee. Then to start breakfast, you better put the coffee pot away. It was just nightmare. I can actually leave the coffee pot out. 2 burner stove. Awesome little gray stone microwave. Cabinet up top, which we keep all of our cups and such in. Here's a better shot of that refrigerator. I mean, come on, look at this thing. It is huge. We packed for an entire weekend, and I could have probably packed a Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, Easter dinner, and 5 more weeks of food in that thing. And then, of course, here's the bathroom. We are still getting things. One of the first things I did, and we can talk about some of the upgrades. I always swore in all of my old campers that I was going to put one of these adjustable towel bars in because I'm a big guy. And I thought, I'm not. This is our sad, as sad as it is to say, this will most likely be the last camper we will ever own. Because if I can get this thing to last for 20 years, which I'm sure I can, I'll be 78 years old. I'll probably be too darn old to go camping by then, but Lord willing, I won't be. But anyway, so one of the upgrades I had to have right off the get-go was this thing, and it adds so much room to, a small shower. So that was a must. Something I always swore I was going to put in every one of my old campers and never did. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it in this one. Has 2 roof vents. Now that one has the little tiny fan, but I'm actually amazed at how much power that little fan pulls. I mean, it really has a lot of suction to it. And then here's this one. This is a non-fan vent. I dug up there and found some wiring that I am firmly believing is 12 volt. And if so, I would actually put a vent fan there because any moisture in the bathroom would get pulled from this huge gap at the top of the door. Plus it would also vent the rest of the fan or rest of the camper. So I may do that. And of course I had one in my wish list on Amazon. And when I went to finally buy it, I get the old currently unavailable. We do not know when or if this will ever be in again. So that kind of sucks because it was the perfect vent fan for my situation. So anyway, there are 4 drawers. I don't know why the light's not capturing that properly, but 4 nice drawers. and a door. Now, this is the one thing that I was kind of shocked about. Of course, everything is ductless. The air conditioner is ductless, and so is the heat. The heat actually blows out of that unit. So when it's on, this bathroom door, which is right across from it, kind of gets a little toasty. Now, I mean, I can only assume that the designers of this camper took that into account. But what I have done when we have that heater on, which is rare, I will say, because I actually have an electrical heater that we use, just a little countertop heater that just will run you out of here. But when it's really cold, I would just leave that door open. It doesn't get hot. The heat just kind of blows through it, blows into the bathroom, and keeps everything nice and toasty warm in here. But like I said, I typically use a little countertop heater. So this, in a nutshell, is our camper. And I'm telling you, I could not be happier. So let me go through some of the upgrades. One of the first things was neither one of these doors had gas supports on them. And, you know, it is so frustrating to be digging into a cabinet and, you know, the door's constantly bopping you in the head. So I got gas supports, gas struts on all four doors. Now, by the way, this is not glass. It's like a Lexan type material, because I was freaking out thinking, geez, if I ever break that, I'm in real trouble. But and of course the cabinets go, you know, back. I mean, when you see the cabinet like this, it just doesn't end here. It actually gives you an extra foot of space on each side. So the cabinets are very ample. Some Dollar Tree little cheapy plastic bins to kind of store some of our games in and such. But all four cabinets got those gas support struts. Now, they were 7.5 pound gas support struts, and the door's not very heavy. Like I said, this is plastic. It's just a wooden frame around it. So I kind of wish I'd have gone maybe with a 10 pound, because I mean, it does hold the door, but it, you know, when I kind of push it off, I was kind of hoping it would just kind of like, you lift the door and it would kind of go, but it doesn't. So anyway, I'm happy. One of the other, of course, I talked about the shower curtain rod. My wife picked out the shower curtain. I absolutely love it. Oxygenics. This was actually a throwback from my old camper. Let's see, what else did I do? I did so much. I don't know why I can't think of anything right now. Well, we added a little hook. I think every camper needs one of those little hook things. We added some LED strip lights up there, which I just plug into a battery. I just have a rechargeable battery, like a battery bank you would charge a phone with. And I just plug them in, and it really gives you just the right amount of light in the evening. The Beach Lane digital leveler that hooks up to your phone. That is awesome. It was, first of all, it was the easiest thing in the world to hook up and link to your phone, Bluetooth, and worked like a champ. Television. Now, this was crazy because, you know, you see a sticker on the wall that says, mount your television here. Okay, well, here's the thing. You have to find a stud to go up there. You know, if you put it in a wall, you better use some hollow wall anchors. But here's the thing. I really, really, really wanted to hit a stud, because as you're going down the street and the campers are bouncing around, that's really putting a lot of stress on that little thin piece of paneling. Is really all it is, like Luan type paneling. So I very carefully found the stud and was able to run 2 heavy lag bolts in it, so that is not going anywhere. And of course, it locks onto the wall. You pull this down and the thing comes out, and you can angle it whichever way you want. My wife and I aren't very big TV watchers, but one of the first things I thought was really odd was, I said, okay, there's the cable connection coming in, and then I went outside and realized, you know what? There's no cable outside. There's no connection. It's got to be a connection somewhere. So I scoured this entire camper and could not find an exterior cable hookup. I thought, well, if I ever go to a campground, how am I going to hook up cable? And I started reading some different things online, and people said, oh, you can just run a cable through the window. Not doing that. That's awfully tacky. But I thought, why would they have a fitting inside but not have a fitting outside? That makes no sense. So I climbed up on the roof, and when I got up there, I discovered, never knew it, there is a Winegard 360 Air antenna up there. Now, I didn't know what this was. I had to get myself familiar with it there again. All of this stuff is new to me. But it is a device that you can actually pull in a whole lot more channels than your old style Batwing antenna. And you just need to hook it up to your TV and run a channel. And I did. Now, here at home, and I'm really, like I said, I'm on the eastern shore of Maryland, so I'm a good 60 miles or more from most major cities. Dover, Delaware, Baltimore, Maryland, Salisbury, Maryland. But I was able to pick up about 38 channels, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, what if you're camping and you want to pick up TBS or Fox or any of the other cable networks? Well, what I do is I have Sling TV on my phone. I have Hulu on my phone. I have Disney Plus on my phone. I have way too many things on my phone. So I just hook up a cable to my phone, to the HDMI port on the TV, and I've got everything I would ever possibly want, as long as I have cable service or cell service. So I know that I've seen different videos where people take a little box inside that actually looks like this little light doohickey here. Of course, this is a lights. The interior lights aren't on right now. And they pull it down, and you can hook a device up there, and that's how you can get your internet, like a wireless internet service and such. So I'm not going through all that. Like I said, my wife and I, we don't really watch that much TV. But as a guy my age, I struggle with, where am I going to put the DVD player? I got a ton of DVDs. Well, can't anymore. So it's all on this magical little phone. I also keep the dehumidifier running in here constantly. And I was kind of worried at first about leaving this plugged in full time, but I guess if you're a full-time RVer, you'd have it plugged in all the time anyway. So I'm going to leave it plugged in. I will leave this dehumidifier running. I got some kind of a car scent thing. That's what's sitting on top of there, because the new RV smells great, but to be honest with you, a lot of the chemicals that you breathe, and people don't realize this, in RVs are not good to breathe. It's formaldehyde and other crazy carcinogens and such. They really aren't that great to breathe. Now, I'm not saying that that my little air freshener is going to wipe out those chemicals, but man, I'm telling you, it really does smell. So underneath the jackknife sofa is more storage. Underneath each bench is more storage. Underneath of the bed, probably a couple feet in, is, let's see if I can lift it up. Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, you have a little compartment there. I have everything in this camper that I had in my old camper, and I had that sucker packed. When we went looking for it, we had certain things that needed to check the box, needed to have storage, needed to have this, needed to have that. There's certain things. We have grandchildren, so we were really hoping that there would be some extra sleeping space. And of course, the dinette breaks down into a bed and the jackknife sofa. So I don't know how comfortable it'll be for adults to sleep in here besides me and my wife. But at least we can get the grandchildren in here. So some of the other things I thought were pretty neat with this camper were the control panel here. So when I first got it, I thought, well, that's cool, but what happens when you come in here and it's dark outside? How does that work? And then I realized, you know what? It's motion activated. So of course you can control all of your interior lights, exterior lights, water pump, your awning, and I saw this little Bluetooth thing up here, and I thought, what in the world is that? So I connected it. Well, everything almost on this camper is Lippert. So I downloaded the Lippert app, connected it, and everything that's on this control panel, I can control on my phone on the app, which I thought was really cool. I can literally sit on my bed. I can tell you what tank is what the battery is what, turn the lights on, turn the lights off, interior and exterior, and even put the jacks down. I thought it was cool. It would have been cool if they'd have found a way to be able to put your tongue jack up or down, but I guess that really doesn't make much sense. But yeah, everything I can control on my phone, Bluetooth. I can put the awning in. I put the awning out. I'm laying in bed. Say I have the awning out and I go to bed and a storm comes up in the middle of the night. Just pull the phone in. There goes the awning in. So many neat things. It does have rear and front stabilizer jacks, push button motorized stabilizer jacks. It does have a rear backup camera. Now I had a bit of a hard time with that, which most people I've seen online said they really have a hard time with that camera. Matter of fact, some people have actually abandoned the camera and just got an aftermarket camera. So that kind of bummed me out because that was like one of the first things I saw. I thought, woohoo, that's neat. I want a camera. So I tinkered around with it, and you have to somehow be hooked to the control panel, Bluetooth, and then you have to find your camera. It has its own Wi-Fi. See, then you have to disconnect whatever Wi-Fi service. I'm assuming you'll be at home. You'll have your own Wi-Fi service on your phone. You have to disconnect that and pick the camera as your Wi-Fi. It's odd, but anyway, once I did that, I was able to pick it up. So my first trip camping, I ran into a couple of bugaboos right off the get-go. That was one of the first ones. The camera constantly kept going out, in and out, kept disconnecting. I looked it up online, and big complaint, and therefore why a lot of people said, oh, I'm just getting rid of this piece of junk. So it really kind of bummed me out. I thought, I'll call Lippert when I get home and find out what I'm doing wrong. So when we got to the campground, before we left, it has a little rubber antenna on it, and I've had it sticking straight up in the air, right up against the body of the camper, and I thought, I wonder, so I actually tilted it forward just a little bit, just like that. Didn't have a single problem with connections all the way home. So I don't know what was going on, but knock on wood, it has worked and worked great. It's going to take some getting used to. I have never owned anything that had a backup camera on it. So I'm still looking in my mirrors and my rear view and at my wife and at the camera. And oh my God, it's going to take some getting used to. One of the other bugaboos that we ran into was when I got to the campground and I got out, somebody pulled in right behind me. As you know, you pull in the campground and you go in to check in. Some guy gets out and he says, hey, new camper. And I thought, how does he know that? And I remembered I have temporary tags still on it. And I said, yeah. He says, your brake light's out. Really? So I check, and sure enough, of course, it's not a bulb. It's an actual light, LED light module that's in there. And I thought, oh my God, what is going on? Anyway, long story short, come to find out, it was just basically a corroded blade in my 7-pin plug. So my advice, keep those clean. My truck is going to be 20 years old in a couple of years. And, stuff gets old, stuff gets corroded. So all I did was go in there with some sandpaper and kind of sand it out. And bang, started working again. Thank God for that. And then finally, the last big issue we have, and I'm going to walk out here with you, is these steps. So, of course, they didn't come with the new solid step or steady step, whatever they're called. I actually one of the first things I bought was those. And I went to put them on, and of course, you know, if any of you have ever done this, you know that this piece right here needs to come off. I put it down. I go to shut the door, thank God I didn't screw it into the floor. I go to shut the door, which was always very hard. I mean, you had to really slam this door to get it to work. It wouldn't work. It would not shut. I was really kind of bummed out about that. So I sent it back, and I got another Lippert double step. Had 2 steps. You know, my wife and I are getting up in age. You know, it's a bit of a step. Coming out of a camper, going into the camper, it's just too much. We need an extra step in here. So I actually ordered some Lippert steps, and you know what? They didn't fit, which kind of really frustrated me. I mean, there was no way that they would fit. Not only were they too narrow for the existing area by about an inch, when you kind of lift them up to pull them out like you do most steps, it would not clear the bottom of the trailer. It was hitting this. So I thought, you know, this is crazy. And while I was down there kind of looking around, I happened to notice, I hope you can catch this on camera, this really bright polished rubbing thing here. I thought, what is that from? When I looked underneath the door, I found this little piece of plastic wedge. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Probably not, because I'm looking for it right now. Anyway, it was this little piece of plastic wedge on the bottom of the door, and I thought, you know what, that's what's rubbing it. I don't even know why that's there. So let me take a knife and try to shave some of it off. Well, of course, in the process of trying to shave it off, it fell off. It was just stuck on there with silicone caulk. So the only thing I can assume is it was probably put in place to help the door from racking during transport or something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it should have been rubbing this that hard, in my opinion. And here's the thing. Now, the door shuts very easy and normal. So with that, I realized, you know what? That's what those solid steps were probably hitting on. That's why the door wouldn't shut. So I'm going to think about it some more, because I have seen a lot of reviews and talking about how, you know, the solid steps are great to walk up and down, but, you know, if you're on a unlevel site, which sometimes we are, you know, you kind of get a rocking sensation. You kind of, every time you step on the steps, if one leg is sticking up in the air and the other leg's not, because you're on uneven ground. And they have adjustable pins and all in there, but I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. But, and of course, one of the other things I always wanted to do on an old camper was, you know, a digital door lock. That was a problem, because the old door says it would fit. Well, it wouldn't. I actually had to re-drill the holes for this plate, the strike plate, because it was too high. And it was confusing. It was not as difficult as you see. Matter of fact, I noticed this screw right here still isn't quite right. So I'm going to have to see, I got to fix that. Look at that. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. But so far, I've been able to make most everything work. You know, that's all part of those bugs and kinks you got to work out in a brand new camper. So that's it. That's our tour. I hope you all will come back to this channel and visit me as my wife and I go camping at various places. Like I said, we've already been to one camping trip. It was a local shakedown trip. Our next trip we have planned is going to be in a couple of months, and it's going to be way down on the eastern shore of Virginia at a Sun Outdoors campground. Sun Outdoors, I don't know if they're in your area or not, but I know here they are taking campgrounds over like crazy. And the thing is, like, campgrounds that were once reasonable, that Sun Outdoors has bought out, have doubled, at least doubled in price, and it's ridiculous. And you're not getting anything new, anything better, anything different. They're not coming in and refurbishing the campground and adding all these cool amenities. No, it's the same campground, just with higher prices, which sucks, to be honest with you. I mean, camping used to be one of the cheapest things, but when you're paying $130 and $140 a night for a campsite with full hookups at a mediocre campground, that you can get a hotel for that price. I mean, it's ridiculous. So anyway, but as we go to these different places, I'm going to take you guys along so we can all camp together. Maybe you can live vicariously through me and my wife on our camping trips. So until then, this is Jody signing out. See ya.